Greetings, Pokefans! Michael here. So this video is actually the second top 5 video that I've made since Pokemon Sun and Moon came out, which may come as a surprise to some of you because the other one did so shockingly badly that there's probably a large portion of you that didn't see it. So if you want to make a cute Pokemon YouTuber happy, you should watch it. I promise they're actually good tips. Pokemon Sun and Moon have just come out and everybody's raving how they're the greatest Pokemon games ever created, a sentiment that I agree completely with. I have adored getting to play through them, and I definitely think Game Freak has made brand new masterpieces with these games. They have lots of convenient features, an amazing story, lovable characters, and lots of really awesome new Pokemon. So for my second countdown video since the game's release, I decided to take a closer look at some of these new Pokemon and count down the top 5 strongest new Pokemon. This list will be based primarily on base stat total, with other factors coming into play if there's a tie, and I will not be including legendary Pokemon or Ultra Beasts. Firstly because I think it'll make the list more interesting if I don't include them, but also because I haven't encountered a lot of them yet. So be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't, and without further ado, here are the top 5 strongest new Pokemon. Number 5. Incineroar. So the first entry on this list was actually a 5-way tie between Decidueye, Incineroar, Primarina, Alolan Exeggutor, and Golisopod, all with a base stat total of 530. So because of this tie, I had to take into account other factors in order to break it, such as move pool, abilities, and more. Golisopod's ability Emergency Exit is really bad, so I threw it out first. The remaining 4 have pretty mediocre speed, so therefore they have to have good type matchups and defenses in order to be effective. Alolan Exeggutor has alright defenses with base 75 and 85 respectively, but it has 6 weaknesses and only 4 resistances, which is noticeably worse than the other 3, so I eliminated it next. Decidueye was the next to go, since while it does have 6 resistances or immunities, tying Incineroar and falling 1 short of Primarina, it has 5 weaknesses and a lower primary attacking stat than the other 2. So that leaves Incineroar and Primarina, and let me tell you, it was really tough to decide. Primarina has lower physical defense but higher special defense. It also has 1 less weakness and 1 more resistance, and it has a higher primary attacking stat. However, I decided to give Incineroar the edge here based on 3 big reasons: its defensive balance, its ability, and its move pool. Incineroar has a base defense and special defense of 90, which is pretty respectable. Its special defense may be substantially lower than Primarina's 116, but the fact that both of these Pokemon are slow and need to be able to take hits of both kinds, I think Incineroar's balance here helps its case more. Incineroar's hidden ability is Intimidate, which is far more useful than Primarina's Liquid Voice. Intimidate makes it so Incineroar takes less damage from physical attackers, but Liquid Voice just makes it so Primarina has more water-type moves in her move pool, which is pretty unnecessary. These are hidden abilities, so they're not quite available for these Pokemon yet, but when they do become available, I am confident that Incineroar will become more prevalent. And lastly, Incineroar's move pool is quite a bit better. It can learn physical attacking moves of base 70 power or above from 9 different types, whereas Primarina can learn special attacking moves of base 70 power or above from only 7. Now while I can understand the argument saying that Primarina is better, based on these factors, I still think Incineroar gets the edge. Number 4. Type Null. Type Null comes in at number 4 with a base stat total of 534, the highest base stat total of any Pokemon that can evolve. With base 95 across the board, other than an unfortunate base 59 speed, Type Null is definitely the most powerful unevolved Pokemon. In addition to that, it only has 1 weakness, a pretty respectable move pool, and the ability Battle Armor, which is pretty solid. You get it? The Battle Armor is solid? Ha ha ha! It's hard for me to say whether or not Type Null would become prevalent and competitive. I'm inclined to say no simply because its evolution is better, but I could see it being useful in certain situations when given an Eviolite. I'm excited to see how it's used regardless though. Number 3. Silvally. Speaking of Type Null's evolution, Silvally comes in at number 3 with a base stat total of 570, which is actually the same base stat total as the Ultra Beast, which if you think about it makes sense since it was created to fight them. Silvely's base stats are the same as type Null's, except its speed gets buffed to 95, making Silvely only slightly weaker than a lot of the event legendaries, such as Mew or Jirachi. This is really cool since it makes it really versatile, meaning Silvely can be either a physical or a special attacker. Silvely also has a huge move pool, which makes sense since thanks to RKS system, it can become any type that it wants. I personally think normal type will be the most prevalent though, since in order to change types it has to hold an item, but regardless, I'm really excited to see how it's used. Number 2. Kommo-o. Kommo-o is the 7th generation pseudo-legendary with a base stat total of 600, and I can definitely see it becoming prevalent in the competitive scene. It's not very fast, but with base defenses of 125 and 105 respectively, it can definitely take some pretty solid hits. It also has respectable attack and special attack, meaning it can hit hard in 2 different ways. It also has pretty nice abilities all the way around, especially Soundproof for protecting against Pixelate Hyper Voice, and Overcoat for protecting against prevalent Powder and Weather moves. The 4x weakness to Fairy isn't great though, but we have seen Pokemon like Garchomp and Salamence do well with similar 4x weaknesses. I don't think Kommo-o will be the best pseudo-legendary we've seen, but I can definitely see it becoming successful. Number 1. School Form Wishy-Washy. When the Pokédex described how even Gyarados are afraid of this behemoth, I can see why. Wishy-Washy's school form has a base stat total of 620, with 140 base attack and special attack, and defenses nearly as spectacular. Its HP and speed are absolute garbage though, which is unsurprising since I feel like the majority of the new Pokemon just have terrible speed. But I do think that its defenses more than make up for it, since this thing could probably survive multiple train impacts. Wishy-Washy's school form is easily the strongest non-legendary new Pokemon. But notice how I said the school form. I don't foresee Wishy-Washy becoming a prevalent Pokemon in the competitive scene simply because it's not always in its school form. If Wishy-Washy's health gets below 25%, it changes from being the strongest new Pokemon to the weakest Pokemon of all of them. Seriously! Sunkern has gotten crap for years for being the weakest Pokemon of all of them with a base stat total of only 180. But Wishy-Washy's base stat total is 175! Because of this crippling form change, I don't think Wishy-Washy will be appearing often in the competitive scene. But it's still a pretty fun and interesting gimmick. So there we have it. Those are the top 5 strongest new Pokemon in Pokemon Sun and Moon, excluding Legendaries and Ultra Beasts. I think these Pokemon are all pretty cool and interesting, so definitely try out using them at some point. What did you think of this video? Do you agree with my tiebreaker? What are some other new Pokemon that you think are really good, even if they don't have as high of a base stat total? Let me know in the comments below! And if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, you should definitely subscribe for more fun Pokemon content of all kinds. Alright, that's all I have for now, so until next time, Poke fans. Gotta catch them all!